Chapter 15. I am aware of the past, the present, and future of everyone. You may think that it is a marvelous phenomenon that the Supreme Being should come down to earth in human form. But if you are in my position, you will not be so wonder-struck. I am fully aware of the past, the present, and the future of every one of you. That is why I do not get overwhelmed with pity. Not that I do not have compassion and love. My heart is certainly not made of stone. But if you shut the door of your heart, how can the waves of my sweet love penetrate beyond? You shed tears and say, Swami, I am blind. I yearn to see your divine form. Doesn't my distress melt your heart? When you see a blind person's misery, your hearts are moved. Does not my heart too feel pity? But as I know the entire background, including the distressed person's earlier lives, my response is naturally different. If you too come to know of things that are known to me, your reaction to that person's agony will also be different. What one reaps in this life is but the fruits of the seeds that he himself had sown in previous lives. So, I allow him to undergo what he derived from his earlier evil deeds. Of course, performance of extenuatingly good deeds will mitigate the suffering to some extent. I am not the cause of either your happiness or misery. You have yourself fashioned these two manacles that weigh you down, Baba. Evil begets evil. Once, a husband and wife, accompanied by their two children, came to Prashanti Nilayam. The parents, as well as the children, were very handsome, and the whole family made a picture of beauty. They eagerly desired to meet Bhagavan personally. They say Colonel Jogarao in that connection and requested him somehow to make it possible. Impressed by the good looks of the couple, Colonel Jogarao felt that it would be very nice if Baba could give them an interview. So he interceded with Baba on their behalf, mentioning also that everyone in the family was very handsome. Swami said, You are speaking so highly about the beauty of the parents and their children. That is all right. But do you know that both the little ones are blind? Colonel Jogorao was taken aback. Swami had not seen the family yet. Jogorao himself did not notice and could not imagine that the two lovely children were sightless. When he met those people again, he inquired about their children's lack of eyesight. He was distressed when he was told the ugly truth. The lady once again entreated Colonel Jogorao to plead on their behalf with Swami to bless her children with sight. Moved by their pleasant manner, Jogorao raised the matter once again with Swami. He got no reply. The next day, Swami came out of his place with the day's newspaper in hand. He gave it to Colonel Jogorao and asked him to read a particular item. The item refers to a news story. In Bukapatnam, two children's eyes were blinded by their stepmother. After reading the shocking news, Colonel Jogarao stared at Swami. What would you do if you were to deal with this incident? Asked Swami. Colonel Jagarao answered instantly, I will turn the heartless mother blind. Then Swami softly told him, But God does not do so. On the other hand, He makes her child blind. As for these two little ones, leave them to me. They will certainly be happy. But what about their mother? Baba moved away from the place, leaving Colonel Jogarao stunned. This brief conversation was all that happened. But Colonel Jogarao realized in his mind that the puzzle of a universal mystery had been unraveled in a flash. What had he asked of Swami in favor of the couple? What did Swami mean by drawing his notice to this day's news item? And what is the profound significance of Swami's conversation with him? Evidently, Swami did not wish to reveal anything directly to the unfortunate mother and add to her mental anguish. It all added up to this. Every person would have to suffer retribution for past sins. Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba says, God is just like a postman who takes out of his bag letter after letter and hands each one at their appropriate address. Members in one house read their letter and burst out in joy. Another household suffers misery with what it received. As for the postman, he is least concerned with the contents of the letters he delivers. His role is merely to transmit each letter to the correct addressee. God too does the same, picking up the food thrown away then. Accompanied by Swami Karunyananda, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba once went to Dharmakshetra in Mumbai. He stayed in his apartment on the upper floor while Karunyananda was given a room situated on the ground floor right beneath Baba's room. Some prominent persons of Mumbai were coming to meet Bhagavan. The staircase they used was adjoining the ground floor room, and to avoid being disturbed, Karunyananda bolted his door from inside. As he looked out from his window, he saw a very disturbing scene. Just outside the compound wall, some children were vying with stray dogs to grab crumbs of food from discarded leaf plates. The scene filled him with surprise as well as distress. This is the age when God Himself has incarnated on this earth and is moving in flesh and blood among human beings. What's more, on that very day, He was present right in that very building. Is it not ironical that human beings were to fight with street dogs for snatching a few discarded crumbs of food? Just as these thoughts passed through his mind, there was a gentle touch on his shoulder. He turned round and frowned, Sri Satyasai smiling and looking into his eyes. Karunyananda was flustered and said, Swami, I bolted my room from inside. How could you enter the room? Baba countered, If I want to come in, can bolts stand in my way? I have come to take you for meals. Then Karunyananda told Baba about what was agitating his mind. Swami, I am troubled by a small doubt. You are God incarnate and right now present here bodily. And just look there, behind the wall, children are fighting with street dogs for picking up mean crumbs of food from the garbage. How come, Swami? Bhagavan explained patiently. They disdainfully ate from tables heavily laden with every kind of rich food, picking a little from this and a little from that plate. They threw away much more than they ever ate, contemptuously discarding precious food. In this birth, they are picking up what they had earlier so recklessly wasted and consigned to the garbage heap. Subsequently, on the occasion of the World Conference of Satya Sai organizations that took place in Prashanti Nilayam, Swami Karunyananda addressed the audience. Swami was present on the dais. In his speech, Karunyananda referred to the above incident causing considerable surprise all around. In his discourse that followed, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba clarified, two birds are sitting on a branch of a tree. One is eating the tree's fruit, the other is just watching like a mere witness. This incident was mentioned in one of the Upanishads. The inner meaning of this is the tree is the body, the fruits are worldly happiness and sorrow, the fruit eater is the soul, the witness is the supreme being, Paramatma. The birds are no doubt appearing as two distinct entities, but actually they are truly the same. The spiritual essence of man is the supreme principles, reflection or shadow vision. In Baba's own words, Paramatma's Abhasarupam is Jivatma. Even so, experiencing happiness and sorrow is a lot of Jivatma. They do not touch Paramatma. Paramatma is only a witness. These words of Bhagavan Baba elaborate the inner meaning of the beautiful Upanishadic parade of two birds on a tree. Ocean of mercy. Despite all that has been stated earlier about past deed engendering either retribution or reward in the present life, it is a fact that if Bhagavan wills to shower mercy and compassion, his kindness knows no limits. It is so spontaneous that it is pointless to search for its cause. In this context, it is relevant to refer to what Swami recounted on 4th July 1996. It was a heartwarming tale and moved every single person in the gathering. The boy who spoke here first, said Swami, hails from Shimla in Himachal Pradesh. His younger brother also studying in primary school here. About 10 years ago, when I was in Vrindavan, their mother was brought to me on a stretcher all the way from Himachal Pradesh. I put my arms around the boys and drew them close. I told their mother, "These are my children. From now on, you need not worry about them at all." She too gave her word to Swami. "Sai Mata, I am entrusting my sons to you." And she breathed her last. I brought the boys here and enrolled them in the primary school. From that day right up to this day, they never shed a tear. Their mother passed away. Their father comes but rarely. Everybody left them to Swami's care. After all, Swami himself is looking after them. That is exactly what Saranagati means, total surrender. I see these boys morning and evening every day and inquire about their welfare. They never experience, even for a moment, the misery of losing their mother. One day, the lady warden of the hostel brought the younger boy to me, saying that he was grieving for his mother, weeping for her, and refusing to eat. He was then 5 years old and was in the first standard. I took him to the interview room, put a ring on his finger, did this and that to amuse him until he forgot his grief and became cheerful. Ever since he is always seen smiling and laughing. Children's hearts are pure and clear like crystal. This shows how much courage and strength love can bestow on the loved ones. Could these boys have been so content and cheerful anywhere else? They are full of happiness and joy because they are with Swami. Swami's love is not one mother's love, but is the love of 1,000 mothers. I personally look after every single detail. Unable to understand this, you worry. Swami has not looked at me or talked to me. Despite innumerable responsibilities that I shoulder, I find time to look after and inquire about every single child. The boy who has spoken a little earlier said, "As you have all heard, I lost only a single mother, but I have gained the motherly love of 1,000 mothers." That is why, when commencing his talk, he addressed Swami, "My mother's eye." It is such ardent faith that protects them and blesses them with complete success in their lives. Namasmaran and Rupadhyan. For 8 long years, a foreign devotee at Prashanti Nilayam had been confined to a wheelchair, for he had lost use of his legs. Nevertheless, a pleasant smile was always lighting up the brave man's face. Prior to his affliction, he used to exercise and actively participate in sports and games, but fate forced him into this dependence on the wheelchair. Once, several visitors from his native land were sitting together in the audience hall. Swami invited all of them into the interview room. Since this handicapped person was tied down to his wheelchair and was also at a different place, he could not move in along with the group who had rushed into the interview room. He too was from the same country. Should not Swami have called him as well? He was wondering and eagerly looking towards Swami. Meanwhile, Swami had already passed him by and went ahead a little further, but suddenly he turned back and called out to him, "Oh, you also go inside." He was thrilled and began propelling his chair towards the room. The ever compassionate Bhagavan ordered him, "Not like that, get up and go walking." The poor man was shocked. He stopped, nevertheless, and tried painfully to get out of his chair. Laboriously he freed himself, stumbled a little, but soon pulled himself together. He broke down. Unable to control his spasm of weeping, he threw himself at the lotus feet of Swami. 8 years of tapas and suffering was thus crowned with glorious fulfillment. Released from retribution. Swami said on one occasion, "You may be thinking that one will have to suffer in this birth for the evil deeds done in past lives, and that no amount of God's compassion can exempt you from it. But I am giving you my word that you need not have to undergo the consequence of previous karma." Hence he is worshipped Sarva Papa Kshayakaraya Namaha. True enough, look at all those who are suffering from disease and have gathered in Puttaparthi sitting and waiting for Baba. They have totally surrendered themselves at Swami's lotus feet. Having left all their cares in the hands of Swami, they do not seem to be suffering at all. If they were somewhere else, the intensity of their illness would have made them miserable. They would have been experienced the agony of hell. Here, as they wait looking forward to the supreme happiness of having Swami's darshan, they suffer not, they are lost in anticipation. And during darshan, they are transported to heavenly bliss. They forget themselves, lost to their plans and aches. After darshan is over, they relieve in their wonderful experience. Rumination adds to that pleasure and prolongs it. They meditate on the form of Swami, conversing with others, sharing of experiences, and recollecting the sweetness of Swami's words, deeds, and leelas. Their time literally flies. Then they begin looking forward to the next day's darshan with hope, anticipation, expectation, and imagination. Devotees never know passage of the hours in Prashanti Nilayam. When do they find time to experience retribution? They are shielded and insulated from suffering and sorrow just as a patient under anesthesia is protected from pain. The period of suffering retribution passes off smoothly with hearing, Shravan, remembering Smaran, contemplating Manan, meditating Chintan, viewing Darshan, and touching Sparshan. In other words, in filling one's body and soul with Swami, His divinity and glory. Entering into Prashanti Nilayam both physically and metaphorically is nothing but pariharam, that is, remedy for and relief from sorrow of every kind. Om Shri Satya Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. End of chapter 15. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat.